Jennifer Shutt joins me now from Washington. She's a budget and appropriations reporter for CQ Roll Call. Jennifer, good to have you with me. President Biden says that he wants Democrats to strike a compromise in order to move forward. Where do negotiations currently stand?
So negotiations right now on that large multi-trillion-dollar package that Democrats have been negotiating for months are still very much going on behind the scenes following a bit of a tense end to the week among the House Democratic caucus. Biden went to Capitol Hill on Friday and told more moderate Democrats that they were going to have to wait for a final vote of approval on that bipartisan infrastructure proposal that has been in the House for a little while now. But he told them that in exchange for waiting on that and really keeping that linked with their multi-trillion-dollar reconciliation package, that progressives are going to have to come down a little bit on the price tag for that. Originally, Democrats were looking at something in the ballpark of $3.5 trillion, but now it sounds like that final package may be about $2 trillion. And so really the next steps on that are taking what House Democrats have already put forward in committee and saying, okay, where do they cut programs, or where do they potentially shorten the time window some of those programs would last for? And so that's what they're going to be doing in the coming weeks.
So after delaying it twice, do we have any indication when the House might vote on infrastructure?
It sounds like Speaker Nancy Pelosi thinks that the House will vote on that bipartisan infrastructure proposal that the Senate has already approved sometime during the month of October.
All right. So talk to us about the process then for putting together a proposal like the multi-trillion-dollar spending legislation. How are lawmakers and their staffers working to try and get their wish list items included and protect them in the case of the potential that negotiations try and strip them away?
Right. And so this is something that's going to be really challenging for a lot of Democrats in the coming weeks. There are a lot of high-ranking members of the House and Senate Democratic caucuses who have been working on some of these proposals like the child tax credit expansion or paid family leave or trying to make childcare affordable for years, if not decades. And they really view this as the opportunity to get that done and sort of solidify some of their core legislative and political goals from what for some of these people are very long careers that might be wrapping up soon. And so there's going to be a lot of jockeying and a lot of communications behind the scenes. And one of the things that makes this even more challenging is, of course, the really narrow margin for House Democrats to pass this Democratic-only reconciliation bill. They can only lose 3 members as of right now and still approve that legislation in the House. And of course, in the Senate, where the Senate is deadlocked 50-50 between Democrats and Republicans, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer of New York can't lose any of his members. And so that means you need progressives like Budget Chairman Bernie Sanders and moderates like West Virginia's Joe Manchin to support this package, which is really wrapping in huge sort of societal changing programs. And that's going to be extremely complicated.
And Jennifer, how does lobbying factor in when packages get to be this size?
Right. So lobbyists are obviously playing a role in this, as they do in any major legislation that moves across Capitol Hill. One of the big proposals in the package right now from Democrats is to allow Medicare to negotiate prescription drug prices. And so that's one of the things we're seeing a lot of lobbying take place on right now, because obviously that would really change the structure of how prescription drugs in the Medicare program work. And of course, because this is such a sweeping package that addresses lots of different areas of society, lobbying is going on in all those areas as well. And that's only going to increase in the coming weeks as Democrats try to figure out how to change the package. We've already seen them debate a little bit in House committees and where to augment that, because of course, if a lobbyist doesn't want their program to get changed, this is going to be a point in time when they really sort of increase the pressure on lawmakers on Capitol Hill to remove or change that program.
Jennifer, let's talk about the debt ceiling. Earlier, President Biden said it would be irresponsible for Republicans to not join the Democrats in raising the debt limit. Why did the GOP block lifting it earlier this week, and what options are available as the deadline approaches?
We've heard from Republicans, predominantly Senate GOP leader Mitch McConnell, for months now that Republicans do not plan to support advancing debt limit legislation through the traditional legislative process, and that they want Democrats to sort of rework their budget resolution for reconciliation instructions so that Democrats could raise the debt limit through that complicated reconciliation process they're using to advance this multi-trillion-dollar package. And so this is something that most people in DC have been paying attention to for a few months now. But really, it's coming to a head in the next couple weeks, heading into the October 18th deadline that Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen set. And at that point in time, the Treasury Department will no longer be able to use these sort of accounting maneuvers to continue paying all of the country's bills in time and in full. And so at that point in time, the Treasury Department would have to make these really complicated decisions and only pay the bills for the amount of revenue coming in. And that could impact dozens of federal programs, ranging from Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, to Pentagon programs, to public lands programs. And so this is something both political parties in DC are adamant they do not want to get a so-called default on the US debt, which a lot of economists believe would put the country immediately into recession. But how exactly this package moves forward is really anybody's guess right now in Washington, because Democrats are adamant they're not going to use that reconciliation process where they can clear an increase to the debt limit on their own. But Republicans are also really dug in that they are not going to give any votes for this in the Senate. And so the next couple of weeks, the tension is only going to increase on how Congress addresses this.
Now, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who you mentioned, isn't actually against raising the debt ceiling. He just wants Democrats to do it with their own votes. So how did this become such a political football?
So McConnell has been saying for months that he believes because Democrats are advancing this multi-trillion-dollar package without any Republican negotiations or any Republican buy-in, the Democrats should really be on the hook for raising the debt limit on their own. This is something that Democrats in the Biden administration have been vehemently disagreeing with in public and in private, saying that the debt, which has accumulated for decades through multiple Republican and Democratic administrations, is really the responsibility of both parties to raise it. And it's also the responsibility of Republicans and Democrats to ensure that the U.S. economy, which is still a bit unsteady after the pandemic, doesn't immediately go into sort of a downward spiral with a potential default on the debt. And so how the two parties even begin negotiations on this is really unclear at this point.
All right, Jennifer Shutt, thank you.
Thank you for having me.